this.
Well, obviously it's a gun.
Figured that out.
Yeah.
Clever this one is. Sir, what I have today is I have the British P-1871 Martini-Henry short lever rifle.
Okay.
Very iconic rifle.
This is another weird bizarro-ness with the English. You know, they were still putting bayonets on rifles and doing rifle charges in World War I when they were running into machine guns. Not a good idea to do a bayonet charge.
That's the last stand. That's the last show of courage there. I initially received the rifle from my great-uncle in 1990. This weapon here, I have no use for it. I'm hoping for $1,250. What I'd like to do is I have a race gun I'm trying to put together that'll provide a new magwell, new trigger system, and a new optic so I can go run a 3-gun competition.
This thing is pretty cool. This was the rifle used by the most powerful army in the world. This was used by the British in the Zulu War when they fought the Zulus. Can I put this on?
Absolutely. Allow me to help you out there.
Yeah, okay. So this would go like that, and then like that.
There you go.
And then this would... that is just gnarly.
You ready to charge the hill, sir?
Yeah, not me. In the late 1800s, the British government offered a prize to gun manufacturers to come up with a new rifle for the British Army. But after years of testing, they liked part of the Martini and part of the Henry rifle. So they decided to come up with a hybrid, and they called it the Henry Martini rifle. I guess it was a tie or something like that. It's in really, really good shape. How much you want for it?
Well, sir, I was looking for $1,250.
Do you mind if I have someone look at it?
By all means.
I mean, the thing is, sometimes when you come across these things, there's things that make it really exceptional, and there's some things that are bad. So I'll get a little more info, and then we'll go from there.
Sounds good to me.
All right, I'll be right back. Let me give him a call.
An expert coming in, I'm fine with that. No worries whatsoever. Any other input can only help me sell this rifle.
This is it?
Wow. This is a Martini-Henry rifle, which I think you know. This is the first mass-produced breech-loading infantry rifle that the British Army ever adopted. The action was so well designed because it had the striker, the firing pin, integral to the drop-lock action. So with one motion, when you drop this, it actually ejects the cartridge and recocks it, so now you're ready to fire again.
Okay.
One of the nice things about this one is it's dated 1872. You see how it's that Roman numeral there? This actually was originally one of the first ones made in 1872 as a Mark I pattern, and then in 1876, they brought them back and improved them, made some adjustments, and so they marked it II. Now, one of the really interesting things here, you see this 780 here? Just above it, there is a WY. Now that stands for West Yorkshire Regiment. The West Yorkshire Regiment is also known as the 14th Regiment of Foot. This is one of the oldest military regiments in the British Army. They actually started under James II in the 1600s. They fought in the Revolutionary War. They fought in the Napoleonic Wars. They fought in the Crimean War. They also fought in the Second Afghan War, 1878 to 1880. So this gun was almost certainly in that war.
Whoa. So what do you think it's worth?
The rifle in this condition with the accessories and the early date, known regiment, about $1,100.
Oh, cool, man. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Good luck.
Wealth of knowledge. Thank you, sir.
Anytime you have a rifle like this marked to a specific regiment, it means that there's a collector out there who really wants it. The more specific you get, the chances of you finding someone who will love it increase.
So, what do you think?
I'm gonna stick with $1,250.
You say it's worth $1,100 bucks, I'll give you $600.
I'm gonna say $1,000, sir.
I can't.
Cannot?
No, I'll tell you what, I'll go 7.
I have a number in my head. I would like us to both reach there.
That number better be $700 bucks.
$800, sir.
$700 bucks.
$800, sir.
I really am going the best I can. $700 bucks is what makes sense to me.
I'm gonna have to thank you for your time, sir, and unfortunately, we can't get a deal done today.
If you change your mind, give me a call, man.
Will do, sir. We couldn't see eye to eye. It happens, no worries whatsoever. But maybe I'll come back a little bit later with the bayonet, take another stab at it.
It's George III and Resolution and Adventure. Sailed from England, 1772. This is interesting. Resolution and Adventure were Captain Cook's ships. Okay, you know who he was?
Was he the pirate from Peter Pan or something?
Wrong dude.
Okay. I was cleaning out my grandma's house and found it in one of the boxes. I had no idea that she was into like collecting things like that. Who knows where she got it? Like, I have no idea. I don't really have any use for the coin, or I figured maybe a couple bucks would be great.
Captain Cook worked his way in the annals of history to be one of the greatest ship captains ever. This is the guy who discovered Hawaii.
Wow.
Islands all over the Pacific. He mapped them all out. He invented some really amazing mathematics that helped them navigate where they were going. Captain Cook was an amazing guy. Captain Cook was a naturally brilliant navigator. The maps he made of Newfoundland in the 1750s were so good, they were still using them in the 20th century. If this has some relation to his world-famous voyages, there's some value here. I mean, it looks like maybe it attached to a ribbon. Maybe it belonged to an officer for being on that journey.
Cool.
Okay, I'm definitely intrigued, but I don't know if this was made in 1772,
Sure.
or if they sell these in the gift shop in England right next to all the old ships, okay?
Right.
There's some odd things here. I mean, it's one of the most detailed medals I've ever seen from that time period.
Wow.
And that's why I'm thinking it's a lot newer than that, but there's that little chance it's something.
Okay.
How much you want for it?
I'd be thrilled with 50 or 100 bucks.
Can you wait around so I can get someone to look at it? I'm really, really interested.
Okay, I definitely have the time, so thanks.
I'm gonna call the Rain Man of Coins.
Okay.
I should be able to get him down here in 15, 20 minutes, all right?
Awesome, thank you very much. I started to see dollar signs when he was like really excited about it, pointing out all these awesome, cool things about it. Yeah, I think the expert will let us know exactly what it is, what it's worth. I'm excited to hear what they have to say.
It looks old, and it's got Captain Cook's ships on the back of it, and I figured you would know what it is.
It's a very interesting item. This is a Resolution and Adventure medal. This journey lasted 3 years, from 1772 to 1775. He went down past the bottom of the African continent. He circumnavigated the southern portion of South America. He went to Fiji, Tahiti, New Zealand, Easter Island. He went everywhere. Captain Cook is really one of the most important explorers in modern history. In his third journey, Captain Cook tried to capture a Hawaiian. They objected and murdered him, along with some of his top men.
What do you think?
This is really an historical item. They made 2,000 of these, but all of these went to Captain Cook, every single one of them, in a cask, and he carried them on his journey.
Wow.
He was to give them out to local chiefs as tokens of esteem.
So, I mean, so when he would land it on an island, he would hand a few of these out, and, you know, everyone would ooh and ah, because a lot of these islands where he's landing at, the indigenous people haven't even discovered metalworking yet.
Right. These would have been extremely interesting to the recipients. And so each one of these is pedigreed right back to Captain Cook. He handled every one of them.
Whoa.
There may have been some left over. This may have been one that was presented and then handed down generations or found in the soil.
All right, so did they ever restrike these?
They struck the original batch. Certainly people have tried to counterfeit them by casting them later, but this is struck, and it has this loop on top, and all of them had that.
Okay.
But it's the real McCoy. This is...
I mean, so that was struck in 1772?
Absolutely.
Whoa.
To hear Dave say this is from the 1700s is amazing. But the fact that this was actually in Captain Cook's hand, it's a real piece of history from one of the greatest explorers that ever lived. So what do you would think it would go for at an auction?
This one's actually in pretty good condition. Very nice looking piece. Has some of the original lighter brassy color to it. To me, it's about a $7,500 to $8,500 item.
That's amazing. $75 to $8,500 for that?
Yes.
Wow.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. This was once owned and handled by Captain Cook, so it's far more than just a medal. It's an historical object with a fantastic pedigree, and collectors are willing to pay for that.
Okay. Should have just gave you your 50 bucks.
I think it's worth a couple more than 50 bucks. I feel like I should ask for what it's worth. So 7,500?
No. You know what? I'm gonna give you 5 grand for it. Okay, you know why I'm gonna give you 5 grand for it?
Why?
Because you owe it to me.
Why do I owe it to you?
Because, remember, an hour ago, you wanted 50 bucks for it.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
It's, you just owe it to me because I just made you all this money.
Well, I guess that's
Think
true.
about it, think about it. Okay, if it wasn't for me, you would have, if you walked in any other place on the planet, they would have gave you your 50 bucks and they would have left. So I think 5 grand is a deal.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll beat you right over there.
Thank you, sir.
This is cool.
I didn't know what I had walking in. When he told me that this is what I'm gonna give you, I was pretty happy with it.
Okay. A Lusitania Medal.
Yep.
These things are sort of like the Holy Grail. In really good condition, they could probably go for $20,000, $30,000. If it's the real deal, it's worth that or maybe even a little bit more.
I came to the pawn shop to sell my Lusitania medal. I'd like to sell it today because I need the money.
Where did you get this?
My mother found that about 40 years ago.
Okay. The sinking of the Lusitania is almost as famous as the sinking of the Titanic. It's also what brought the U.S. into World War I. The Lusitania was a great luxury liner. I mean, it was right around the same size as the Titanic. It was a huge ship. You have to remember, in 1915, the British were at war with the Germans. It's World War I. The United States was not in the war yet, but we were supplying arms to Britain. Now, the Lusitania was a luxury passenger ship, but they were using it to transport arms to England.
Yeah.
The Germans actually took an ad out in newspapers in New York City and basically said, don't get on Lusitania because if it's carrying arms, we are going to sink it. Obviously, a lot of people didn't take them seriously, and a U-boat ended up sinking the ship. Sinking the Lusitania was a crazy move for Germany. Yes, they warned us, but killing 1,200 civilian passengers, that was unwarranted.
Why would they make a medal about Lusitania?
Germans were like proud of sinking this when they shouldn't have been. I mean, they killed 1,200 innocent people. You see these people in line to buy tickets? If you look close, it's death selling the tickets. This man's reading the newspaper right here. That's where the Germans put the ad in the newspaper, don't get on the Lusitania because we'll sink you. The British copied the medal. They made right around 300,000 copies. Sold them more or less to say this is how barbaric the Germans are. It was a PR thing. So the question is this an English one or a German one? Because the German one is worth a hell of a lot more than the English one. The original German coin was made of bronze. Ones made in England were made out of iron. The way you tell them apart is bronze is not magnetic whatsoever. And the thing is, if a magnet sticks to this, it's not an original German one, which is worth tens of thousands of dollars. So go grab me a magnet. Whenever someone comes in the store with a medal or a coin, I have to be 100% sure it's what they say it is. In this case, a magnet will prove it.
Dun, dun, dun.
Damn it. Huh. You know, I've never tried to pick that up with a magnet before.
It's not an original German one. It's not bronze. It's a British copy.
What do you think this medal's worth?
I think it's probably worth right around 150 bucks. And I would give you 100 for it.
Yeah, I don't know. For $100, I think I would just put it in a box and let my great-grandkids have it.
Well, have a nice day then.
If I'd have pulled out a magnet 35 years ago, I probably would not have had that medal today. I drank a lot and I'd have probably traded it for a beer.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Good. What do we got here?
Well, I have a pre-revolutionary document from 1774. It's the extracts from the votes and proceedings of the American Continental Congress.
Okay. This is like the pre-Declaration of Independence. Great Britain was really getting on our nerves. This is basically where they're complaining to Great Britain about just them being dicks.
I'm here to sell a pre-revolutionary document from 1774. I purchase estates and storage units at auction, and I liquidate the contents. This document happened to go on the back burner for about 10 years until I realized what I had in my possession. I'm looking to get $15,000 for this.
This is a pretty amazing thing you have here. At this point, 1774, we were second-class citizens living in these colonies across the ocean. We had no representation. They were just basically, you'll do what you're told. This was a condensed version of what they did when Congress was in session. There was a lot of resolutions and everything else we were sending to England saying, hey, please get off our backs. Just treat us equal. Let us do commerce and let's live our lives just like normal British citizens. And this right here is telling England, like, quit being unreasonable, which they didn't do. So that ended up leading to a war. So have you had anybody look at this?
No,
Do you know if this is a first edition?
I believe it is.
So how much you want for it?
I'm looking for $15,000.
I have no idea if that's a good price. It's very interesting. I know it's rare. It's very collectible. But there's a lot of questions I have about it. Things like this get really, really technical. The right condition, the right paper, the right printing, everything. So let me call somebody up to take a look at this, if you don't mind, okay?
Absolutely.
I'll be right back.
I'm totally fine with an expert coming in. I welcome it. I'm eager to know what the book is worth.
Hey,
Hi,
what's
Rick.
up?
Good to see you. How are you?
Doing great.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
This is the extracts.
Wow. So you know this is one of the most important documents from the American Revolution, right?
Yeah, it's like the early Declaration of Independence. Like,
The pre-declaration?
yeah, it's just like we're just telling Great Britain off.
Well, this is actually the point where we're still trying to come to some sort of compromise. You have the First Continental Congress, which meets in the fall of 1774. And that's when representatives from the colonies get together and they say, all right, we got to do something about all of these acts, essentially things that are like taxes or closing the port in Boston or quartering soldiers in our homes, that type of situation.
The intolerable acts.
Yes, the intolerable acts. A lot of the problems were happening in Massachusetts, in Boston in particular. And for a long time, other colonies were like, you know what, that's Boston's problem, that's not my problem. And so for a long time, there wasn't unity. And the thing that's so important about this is the first time you have the colonies coming together, united, to talk to Great Britain. So the United and United States starts here.
That's incredible.
So these are the most important points of what the Continental Congress was discussing. And it gets printed in Philadelphia, and then immediately they want it spread as much as possible to the colonies.
So what's the condition?
Something like this wasn't meant to last. It was meant to be printed quickly and spread really quickly and then like thrown away. So you look at this and you think, oh, it's kind of roughed up. I look at this and I say, that's beautiful. For this to survive hundreds of years in this condition without ever getting bound, that's really a big deal. And you have the original stitching. This is everything that a collector wants.
Okay, so he's asking $15,000 for it. Clue me in.
I have known of copies selling for around $12,000,
Okay.
but this is not complete. Do you see here, we're on page 48. We've got this sentence here at the end. But to unite with us in one social compact formed, the sentence cuts off. This is missing on the page. So once a book is no longer complete, that price sinks very rapidly. Honestly, I wouldn't expect a collector to pay more than about $4,000 for it.
Okay. You're the best.
Take care.
All right, so all said, what will we take for it?
How about $3,500?
No. I'll give you 2,500 bucks. Said I could probably get 4,000 for it.
How about $2,850?
All right, we have a deal.
All right.
I'll meet you right up front there, and we'll do some paperwork.
Sounds great.
There's nothing so cool as owning an original snapshot of history as it was being made, except for how much money I can make when I sell it. Not that I'm not going to read this thing 10 times before I do sell it. So what do we have here?
It is a British Navy powder bucket.
It's really neat. It's really cool. It was a different time, 200 years ago. If you were poor and really didn't have any future, maybe your parents would send you off to the Navy when you're like 9 years old. And they would put the kid in the Navy, and in the middle of a battle, they would literally be running back and forth getting the gunpowder.
I think I'd rather be in math class. I've come to the pawn shop to sell my British Navy powder bucket. I found it at an auction in upstate New York. I found it interesting, so I grabbed it. I'd like to get $1,400 today, but I won't go under $900.
This is pretty cool. This is Nelson's Navy stuff, right around 1800. Battle on a Navy ship back then was just, it was insane. The whole thing is you can't have too much gunpowder in the gun deck or it's a really, really bad situation. Remember, this stuff's really explosive. The powder was kept at the very bottom of the ship. It was the safest place in the ship from cannon fire and gunfire. In the middle of a battle, they sent the young boys down to the powder room because they couldn't carry the cannonballs. They would literally be running back and forth for powder, and when they told them to get more, they'd go get more. And that's what that was used for. It's been repainted.
Yeah.
Someone, unfortunately, painted that on it really badly. How much you want for it?
I did a little research, and I'd like to get $1,400. I think that's a fair price.
If you had a really nice pristine one that hadn't been messed with, yeah.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, this is all modern paint. This is some modern coat of arms that's been put on there. It's, I'd give you like $300 for it.
Can you do $900?
No. This is not the way they looked in the English Navy. These guys who buy this stuff want it to look like it did back then. I'll go $325.
How about $450?
Nope.
That's a fair price.
Someone took something that was really good and spent money to make it bad. $3 1/4, and I'm not gonna go anymore.
All right, let's do it. $3 1/4.
All right, thanks. I'll meet you right up front, and we'll do some paperwork.
All right. $325 was not what I was looking for, but it was a lot of restoration, so I think it's a fair price, so that's why I decided to take it.
I have a 19th century British naval surgeon's chest.
Whoa. Creepy, but cool.
Real creepy.
Ooh, bone saws and everything.
I'm here to sell a 19th century British naval surgeon's chest. Well, I've been collecting medical antiques for about 30 years, and my wife's been a pretty good sport about letting me do surgical procedures in her garage, but I think after 30 years, she's had enough. I'm hoping to get $3,500. I'll settle for around $2,500.
Believe it or not, I mean, it looks really, really crude, but they were really good at some things. On a ship in the middle of a battle with cannonballs and bullets flying everywhere, there was a lot of amputations. And when they were done with the amputation, you would have a bunch of strings hanging out of your appendage. After a few weeks, after things healed up, if the doctor was really good with his knots, all you had to do was go pull, 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 and they'd all pop right out, and you wouldn't bleed to death.
Oh, wow. That wasn't my Navy side.
You would think more people would have died when they used these tools because they didn't sterilize them. But at the time, this was the best there was, and that's what they used. So we have a nice little tooth plucking tool. This little puncture tool right here.
That's called a trocar, and that was to remove fluid. They would puncture it, remove this, and the fluid would drain.
That sounds fun.
And this one?
For finger amputations.
The amazing part is you rarely see these things complete, where there's always something missing. How much are you looking to get out of it?
Oh, I'd like to get $3,500.
It's probably right around what it's worth, but I have to make a little money. I'm thinking more like $2,000. It is marketable, but people who collect these things are very far and few between. I mean, what can you really do?
Well, I'm thinking $3,000. It's kind of a cross-collectible for both medical and military collectors.
I'll give you that. I'll tell you what, I can give you $2,500. It's more than fair.
Okay, I'll do $2,500.
Okay, $2,500. I'll meet you right up front.
Hey, I paid $900 when I bought it, so I think I did pretty well on it.